Alright, last two ones are coming up. It's now almost 11 in the night on my side, so I hope the last two are short, because I need to go to bed and then wake up tomorrow for my run. So let's see what we have here. Global Retrocausality Torus. Torus? How would you guys spell this out? Because it's not that... It's not like... It's like I would say Torus. Another key. Okay, two keys in one reading. That is rare. I see you look. Oh god. I saw how long this will get. Okay. It's also the most highly rated one so far. So let's go. SCP-1968 is to be secured in a bunker 300 meters underground, accessible only by a single elevator requiring positive action at both the top and bottom of the shaft to operate. Armed guards are to be present at both ends. In case of incursion from within or without, the elevator shaft is to have an explosive self-destruct activated, rendering it impassable. In the event of an incursion, guards must be considered expendable. Who are you running from? The unspeakable. That's who I'm running from. I'm running away from the past. SCP-1968 appears in its inactive state to be a bronze Torus. Okay, I need to look up what that is and how that's pronounced. Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. I forgot. I have my audio set wrong. Let me just quickly. Here we go.
Torus.
So it is Torus. Okay, I was not wrong. Good to know. Good to know. Of an unknown composition, it has a major diameter of 320 centimeters and a minor diameter of 90 centimeters. It is marked with raised features or glyphs. The presumption being that they act as control surfaces. It is difficult to photograph or visually inspect the artifact as it appears to bend the light. Mild fluctuating gravitational effects have also been observed. Oh. It has proven impossible to take a sample of the artifact. Spectrographic attempts have proven inconclusive. Although not particularly heavy, weighing 14 kilograms, inertial and angular momentum studies suggest that neutronium in vanishingly small quantities may be present in the body of the mechanism. Theoretically, one of the densest states of matter possible, neutronium is a proposed name for a substance composed purely of neutrons. It has been used to refer to extremely dense phases of matter resembling the neutron degenerate matter theorized to exist in the cores of neutron stars. That makes sense. SCP-1968 demonstrates its anomalous properties when it is handled by a human being. Of course, the moment we humans touch it, that's when it's like, oh! Well, would you look at that? My anomalous effect is taking course. When moderate forces applied to it, it will begin to deform in unpredictable ways. Its material composition will appear to change and will become animated, surrounding the subject in convolutions and undulating increasingly faster. Ugh. Don't like that. The word undulating is so good, but whenever it is connected to anything, you just go like, no, thank you. Its primary effect will manifest itself when an unpredictable threshold is met, after which the artifact will return to its original state. At this point, the subject will have their memories altered. Oh. They will no longer agree with the historical record, often profoundly. There was another SCP that changed your memories to like erase what history taught you and made you think that it's not real. Their self-reported personal history will be at odds with Foundation personal records. As a consequence, they will often assume a posture of agitation and paranoia. The more pronounced the deformation of the artifact, the more divergent their memories will be. It is theorized that the glyphs, via means as of yet unknown, control the degree of deformation and its resultant effects. Okay, so if you touch it and it decides to reform itself into like, I don't know, a triangle, the Triforce, then your memory is going to be absolutely. You'd be like, okay, I'm a whole different person now. Great. Recovery log. SCP-196-A was recovered in late 2001 from a core sample extracted kilometers deep during a petrochemical survey near Zuckenberg, Greenland. Based on the depths from which it was recovered, along with corroborating paleoatmospheric readings, the artifact is estimated to be 31 plus minus 2.3 million years old. Okay. Foundation personnel intercepted the radio transmission of its discovery and owing to its unusual nature and age, moved to secure the artifact. Class B amnestics were administered to the personnel in Greenland along with those individuals at the governing authority in Denmark who had been made aware of its discovery. Yeah, because Greenland belongs to Denmark. Once on site, it was discovered that one of the geological engineers had been placed under a 72-hour psychiatric hold after violently assaulting a colleague and behaving in a manner consistent with the Foundation test subjects see below. It is presumed that they had handled the artifact. Classified. The unauthorized viewing of the following material is prohibited without the consent of a majority of the O5 level administrators. Failure to adhere to this directive will result in termination. Note, this directive is rescinded in the event of imminent CK, VK, XK, CK, or Dedekind U-class event. Enter description key. I'm hacking. Oh god. This will maybe take a while. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, this is gonna be the longest one to read today. That's fine. Let's go. Warning: do not attempt to learn. Do not attempt to learn. Forget everything. Do not attempt to leave your immediate area. In the interest of security, you have been administered a lethal memetic agent that can only be counteracted within the hour. Await security personnel and be prepared to confirm your identity. Object class classified Thaumiel. Note: the previous description is a cover story and is based on what were initial conclusions. The artifacts' effects have proven to be of a very different nature. It is likely that SCP-196-8 is affecting the past. Oh. So this is just a fake. Okay. Initial experiments. The first experiment with the subject proved uneventful, with routine medical examination revealing no untoward effects. When the subjects returned to their quarters after debriefing, however, it appeared to them that the furniture has been altered, which they reported in keeping with standard procedures. No evidence could be found to support their claim. Subsequently, the subjects seemed confused about the shifts of duty, when they were scheduled and to whom they were to report. Okay, so this is the first sign that they had, like, okay, maybe it does do something. As a second experiment, the subject appeared alarmed and confused. The laboratory where testing had taken place seemed changed to them. The subject also professed that personnel appeared to be missing while others were completely unfamiliar. Interrogation of the subject showed that they were in possession of drastically different memories, encompassing such areas as diverse as the personnel history, the nature of Foundation assets, and the historical records. So we have interview A, which is the Retrocausality Torus interview A. So here you go. Interviewee, subject, interviewer, Dr. M. Forward. Following the second trial, subject was briefed according to a standard operating procedure. Unbeknownst to the subject, passive polygraph testing in effect. Note: subject emotionally labile and somewhat paranoid. We've been over this and over this. Let me get some sleep. You get it once your debrief is over. What have you done with Dr. As I keep telling you, there's no such person. You've seen the personal manifest. Do you think I'm trying to mislead you? You don't remember researcher B? You worked with him a number of times before. According to him, you developed a degree of friendship. I've never heard of him. I don't know who that is. But you acknowledge that he knows personal details about you. How could he know those things? Like who you dated at university, the name of your sister's children. I don't know. I don't know how. 10-minute break. Subject allowed a soft drink and cigarette. You've indicated that we're supposed to know about SCP and SCP. According to you, SCP is a dildo sponge capable of dildo sponge, and SCP is supposed to be some sort of precognitive computer. Yes, I designed the containment procedures. I've been studying SCP for 2 months when this assignment came up. I've written up my notes on. As you've been told, there are no such SCPs. We never heard of them. Unintelligible. What? I said you will. You'll hear about them presently. You have the field agents in. That's where we will find them. So you say. So I say. Do you mind? So I say. Do you mind? Go ahead. Subject allowed another cigarette. You said before about the change you used to buy the soda. You didn't recognize who's on the dime. That's right. According to you, who's supposed to be on the dime? FDR. Yeah, well, that's who's on the dime. No, it's not. He's not on the not in profile. Can you remember? It's famous for being a strange portrait, picture, whatever, with its characteristics. Lear, you know what I mean? I can say why are you doing this? Is this a psychological? Are you trying to disorient me? See how much it takes to make me? You know that's not true. Unintelligible. It may be that the artifact has affected your memory. Sure. You think that's unlikely? I don't know what I think. Can we resume this tomorrow? I need some sleep. I need to get myself a martini, shaken not stirred. Security will escort you to your quarters. Your security clearance is temporarily suspended. Let me emphasize temporarily. You're not to discuss these events with anyone. I just want to go to bed. Drop by the pharmacy, they'll give you something. I don't want a tranquilizer. Suit yourself. Close statement. Polygraph results indicate responses are not consciously deceptive. Yeah, he's not lying. Okay, so that was the first interview. But it looks like we have another one waiting up for us. At first, it was assumed that the artifact had in some unknown way affected their mind. Interrogation of the subject, however, showed that their memories were extraordinarily detailed and self-consistent. Furthermore, the subject demonstrated knowledge of classified material to which they could not possibly have been exposed, including the existence of SCP and SCP that had, as of then, not been secured, let alone identified. The operating assumption at the time was that the subject had been compromised by forces unknown. As we saw, like our subject, he was able to be aware about the SCPs and where they are, which I think is interesting that that's a thing it can do. At the conclusion of the third trial, the subject account of the previous experiments themselves were in stark contradiction with the record. Among other things, they claimed that it had been the 19th such experiment. After a lengthy debriefing, the subject was able to furnish a kind of proof to their claims in the form of a testable experimental prediction. The interview B excerpt. I will read that soon. It was discerned that the subject was referring to a measurable change in the strength of the Casimir force, implicating a change in the rate of virtual particle pair production in the vacuum, even though ostensibly nothing, even in principle, may affect such rate. So the Casimir force, the note says, the Casimir effect can be expressed in terms of virtual particles interacting in the vacuum. It is best described and more easily calculated in terms of the 0-point energy of a quantized field in the intervening space between objects. This predicted force has been measured and is a striking example of an effect purely due to second quantization, essentially particle pairs coming in and out of existence too quickly to measure, even in principle, nonetheless give rise to a measurable side effect. And vacuum, footnote says, in physics, a virtual particle is a particle that comes into existence for a limited time and space and then just as quickly disappears. The energy and momentum of a virtual particle are uncertain according to the uncertainty principle. The degree of uncertainty of each is inversely proportional to the time duration for energy or the position span for momentum. Okay. That is a bit beyond me, but let's read the second interview, which is a bit longer. Which also has a bunch of footnotes. God damn! Retrocausality Torus interview B. Subject: Interviewer A, Doctor. Interviewer B, Assistant Researcher. Observing X camera. Doctor. PhD Psychology. Doctor. PhD in Neurology. So there's a bunch of people now involved in this. Great. I have to give them all different voices. Pardon me. I want to double check something. Is that the no, it's not the same doctor, so okay. Please tell me you remember what was discussed. What's that? Which trial is this? The third one? Why? The third one? Which one is it according to you? Just the 19th trial. That's not possible. And that's not possible. Let me save us some time. By all means. You have identified and contained SCP and SCP. I can't discuss. Then there's something you can check. I know you don't believe me, but the last time we did this, we found something strange having to do with... Is it the Kashmir Force? Interviewers converse with each other. To interviewer B. No, go ahead. Do you mean the Casimir Force? Yes, that's it. The artifact affects it. How would you know something like that? Because I overheard you talking about it. When would that have been? You don't remember. It's after the 17th trial. I want you to understand something. You keep thinking this thing affects my memories. That I'm mistaken. If that's the case, how could I know about SCP and SCP? Once you double check the effect I'm talking about, how will you explain that? How will you explain that? Will you evolve a theory to cover that? You see, there are only two possibilities. Either I'm crazy, or I'm not. We're still trying to ascertain. Once you're convinced, we'll talk. Until then, I'm done. Take me to my quarters and lock me up, or let me go. And you interview suspended. Ooh, I'm actually kind of interested. This is getting good. Several experiments performed using D-class personnel immediately terminated after activating this artifact. Subjects' experimental predictions confirmed. Note: shortly thereafter, assistant researcher who had assisted with this interview performed an unsanctioned experiment with the artifact, using himself as a subject. The personnel could be located who had afterwards spoken to him, though it is known that he engaged in 2 hours after research using the unclassified Foundation database, at which point he placed a phone call to his mother. Although it's been established that while assistant researcher failed to actually reach her, though he tried, at least a dozen times in as many minutes, he did repeatedly replay her voicemail message shortly afterwards. Assistant researcher committed suicide. Oh. Interview resumed 50 hours later, so 2 days have passed. Where's your assistant? Reassigned. Well, what? You don't look like you slept much. What is it that you had me believe? It's funny, every time we talk, I keep expecting you to remember. I'm asking you again. What is it you have me believe? In the 12 weeks I've been working with the artifact, note it had only been 1 week since experiments had begun, I've seen the Foundation change. The president changed, the layout of the globe changed, I've seen you change. You look better without the beard. Incidentally, it's all gone. What's the word I knew is gone. It's been revised, and revised now 19 times. I'm lucky we still speak the same language. Listen to me. The only reason I agree to keep you being your guinea pig is that I don't have a history of my own anymore. Or I'm outside of history. I don't recognize my sister, the kids I never had, the wife I never married. I'm a ghost with no past. I have nothing to lose by using the artifact. We're not letting you do that thing again unless and until you start. It doesn't matter. What doesn't? You keep changing. Everyone does. And I say the same. I'm the only one who remembers. You're not really Doctor. At least not the one I knew. At this time, the following exchange takes place covertly between interviewer and observer via teletype. Okay. Could be Capgras syndrome with attendant Cassandra complex. What the fuck? Okay, here's a big ass. The Capgras delusion theory, or Capgras syndrome, is a disorder in which a person holds a delusion that a friend, spouse, parent, or other close family member has been replaced by an identical-looking imposter. The Capgras delusion is classified as a delusional misidentification syndrome, a class of delusional beliefs that involves misidentification of people, places, or objects. It can occur in acute, transient, or chronic forms. Cases in which patients hold the belief that that time has been warped or substituted have also been reported. I hope that's not many people. First of all, I hope that's not a real thing, which it probably is, because it's yeah. But then I also hope not many people have that, because that sounds awful. To like look at your loved ones and be like, you're not the same person. Something's wrong about you, even though they haven't changed. And now the Cassandra complex. The Cassandra metaphor, variously labeled the Cassandra syndrome complex phenomenon, predicament, dilemma, or curse, is a term applied in situations in which valid warnings or concerns are dismissed or disbelieved. Cassandra was left with the knowledge of future events, but could neither alter these events nor convince others of the validity of her predictions. The metaphor has been applied in a variety of contexts such as psychology, environmentalism, politics, science, cinema, the corporate world, and in philosophy to refer to a belief that things could be known in advance and yet remain inevitable. Possibly. Recommendations? Don't contradict them. We can always try. If they show no signs of improvement. And they explain knowledge? What the fuck? Cryptesthesia and confabulation, possibly. Cases like theirs exist in the literature. Literally hidden sensation. Cryptesthesia refers to information gathered by the senses that enter conscious awareness by some other form. And assistant researchers, suicide, here we go. Folly edu, from the French for a madness shared by two. A shared psychosis is a psychiatric syndrome in which symptoms of a delusional belief are transmitted from one individual to another. Recent psychiatric classification refer to the syndromes as shared psychotic disorder and induced delusional disorder, although research literature largely uses the original name. Can you imagine working for the Foundation and you say like, hey, this thing doesn't change my memory, it changes the world, it rewrites the world. And everybody's like, nah, there's no way. I would go mad, I would go crazy. If I worked in the Foundation and I was like, hey guys, maybe, just maybe, it's not that my memory's changed, it's that everything around me changed. And that's why I can predict certain things. And they go like, no. Definitely not the case. What? You want us to believe that? That sounds insane. That sounds crazy. I'll be like, okay, you know what? Fuck you. Okay. What do you mean? What do I mean? What do I mean? How's this? If you examine Doctor, you'll find signs of you're in for a big surprise from him in the next couple of days. Now, how could I know that? That's absurd. Can you account for the unexplained knowledge you're in possession of? I assume this alternate. I don't know why. I'm having trouble reading that. Has unrolled slower than the last one. That events have transpired more slowly. If things haven't diverged too much, effectively this makes me able to anticipate the near future. Given that where I just came from, we were on the 19th trial while here. That's not going to wash. I'm going to ask you directly. Are you being coerced by a third party? Are you acting on express orders not to divulge what you know? As I said, if you can't blame me. Get it through your head. The other thing is going to it's a matter of weeks. Tell me why. If you're so... Doctor, let me edify you. Question mark? Question mark? Interview was at this point suddenly terminated by authority of O5 administrator. Close statement. Polygraph results indicate responses are not consciously deceptive. He hit them with the fucking like, oh yeah? If I'm lying, then what about... He just hit them with the whole fucking... like, the knowledge beyond 1,000 suns. It's like, I have knowledge beyond the understanding. And he just hit them with that, and everyone's like... Okay, I guess he's actually telling the truth, guys. We might have pushed it a bit too far. Findings. In effort to incorporate the account, measurements were performed inside the artifact's sphere of influence with negative results. Efforts were suspended when, unexpectedly, back-channel reports surfaced of the discovery of such phenomena at CERN at the time the artifact had been in operation. Centre European de Recherche Nucléaire, Geneva. Hey! From Geneva! Switzerland! Experiments were repeated away from the artifact's immediate vicinity and succeeded in detecting the effect. Further experiments were performed as distantly as New Zealand, South Africa, and the Antarctic, reproducing the same findings. A probe in Jupiter space that had been clandestinely retasked concluded the same. The vicinity within the artifact's area of operation and consequently the subject appeared insulated from the effect, perhaps by design. Conclusion. How much is that? Oof. Based on the chronology of these experiments, it seems that the effect propagates nearly instantaneously, at a rate comparable to the cosmological inflation which occurred shortly after the Big Bang. There's a lot of science. Cosmological inflation is a theorized exponential expansion of the early universe by the factor of at least 10 to the power of 78 in volume, driven by a negative pressure vacuum energy density. The inflationary epoch comprises the first part of the electroweak epoch following the ground unification epoch 10 minus the power of minus 38 seconds post singularity. Following the inflationary period, the universe continued to expand by a constant rate. Grand unification theories suggest that the combination of the anomalous virtual particle production along with the superluminal propagation are consistent with a global retrocausality event. One interpretation that has been put forth is that the entire universe is being affected by the artifact. That would be insane. The entire universe, everything, it would be all, and the universe past which is being altered. The subject's memories would then be accurate and would remain the only record of the timeline before its alteration. In light of this possibility, further testing has been suspended indefinitely. The consent of all O5 administrators is required to perform further experiments. Recent developments. After testing was discontinued, the subject evaded Foundation supervision and attempted suicide. The subject has since become catatonic and been placed in long-term care. 2 months later, the artifact engaged itself without human intervention in a manner inconsistent with its previous operation. A person which superficially resembles the subject emerged. They were badly wounded, having suffered unidentified chemical burns over 60% of their body. What is happening? The subject ultimately died shortly thereafter without being able to be interviewed. It remains unknown how the artifact managed to activate itself. Security was increased. A further months later, the artifact once again activated itself, this time disgorging a non-human entity heavily armed. See report. The entity was ultimately neutralized after killing a dozen personnel and wounding scores more. The weapon in its possession behaved in a manner inconsistent with current understanding of physical law. Give me a fucking novel, very footnote. Based on a review of particle detectors in the confinement area at the time, it has been established that the weapon functioned by slightly altering the magnetic moment of the neutron in affected matter, upsetting the electromagnetic balance of the nucleus and causing it to fission spontaneously. The means by which this is affected cannot be determined, as the weapon was destroyed by the entity prior to being killed. It has been remarked that in outward appearance the weapon resembled SCP-1968. The goal or purpose of the entity has not been established. Containment procedures were upgraded to the level they remain at now. Addendum. The suggestion has been made that in the event of the imminent CK-class reality-ending scenario, SCP-1968 could be used in a last-ditch effort to avert catastrophe, but the cost of irrevocably and unpredictably altering the past. Also, like in case like the future like holds something bad, you could be like, oh, let's change it all. Such a decision could obviously not be made lightly. To do so would ensure that the world as we know would cease to exist. At the same time, to do nothing might guarantee the same. Such a metaphysical dilemma is perhaps beyond our ability to resolve. It should be pointed out that if the artifact had already been used in this manner, we would have no evidence of it. The incursions that have recently been taking place might well have been attempts to use the artifacts to accomplish exactly that. Whew. What a read that one was. I liked it though. I do like it. I do like that. Like, it's crazy that like the whole world changes and you are aware of it to a certain extent. Like, I think that's also the reason why they didn't believe the subject first, because like it's like, hey, this is the 19th trial. It's like, why would you talk about the 19th trial? So like it seems to like even though like the world changes, which means the past changes, the person themselves seems to be experiencing something completely else as well at the same time. Like it's very mind-boggling, but it is good. I think it's a good one, because you have to think like, well, how does so their memories is like consistent, but it's not like from the world that they're in. It's from a different world that they basically came from. It's kind of like if you have different rooms, and each room is the same with minor differences, and the subject gets like placed into different rooms during each test. One is the timeline number 1, where the first experiment happened, and one is the timeline number 20, where the 20th experiment happened. And for him, he'd be like, oh, I did like 19 experiments, but he's in timeline 3, which is interesting. Yeah, okay. Whew. That was a mind-boggling brain teaser.